Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Sunday, May 21st, 2023. In the headlines, Dr. Buttar died, considered a controversial doctor because of the ideas that he promoted even before COVID 19. Again, anyone who goes against the medical establishment is labeled a conspiracy theorist, a crank, a quack, and sadly, those terms are ingrained in people's minds. When they hear them, they switch to a different dial, and then they tune out what the other side is saying, because if the authorities have said it's a conspiracy theory or whatever, just so many people's minds are programmed to go down that lane. Now, I got to be honest. Dr. Rashid Buttar, I heard some of his stuff during the pandemic, and it seemed like he was promoting a lot of crap that was getting put everywhere online that was not true and did not make sense. You know, a lot of people back in 2020 saying 5G was going to kill us, but it was like, well, wait a minute. Most of us already have 5G in our house through our internet connection, so how's that going to kill us? Anyway, we're going to look at what's suspicious about his reported death. If you look online, there's conflicting dates. Some sources say he died May 20th. Some say he died May 18th. But regardless, he reportedly died recently. So we'll talk more about that and what stands out about him dying at this time. We'll also talk about Joe Biden coming out this morning and saying, you know, this debt default could happen and it's all politics. And again, you guys, I mean, if our elected representatives are going to allow this debt catastrophe to happen, again, it's just a reminder of all the decades you've been listening to politicians talk about New World Order. Because there is no reason to allow the debt default to happen when it's in our own nation's hands. Yeah, I do agree that spending should be changed and we should cut a lot and stop subsidizing so many people's lives. And, you know, again, I mean, to me, everything about government's gluttonous and gross, but to allow the default to happen over politics, which ensures that there will be all kinds of financial problems throughout the country for a lot of different people, that just doesn't make any sense. Unless these politicians are working for something other than the United States of America, which isn't even an if. It's just, how can people not see that at this point? You know, how can people not see that? And it's not just the Democrats. I know right now it's easier to say it's the Democrats because, you know, they want to give all the money to Ukraine and everything, but it's both parties. Always has been. And yeah, we'll talk more about this. We'll go back to what Janet Yellen said on January 20th, which happened to be Rashid Buttar's birthday, which happens to be a very significant day, January 20th. It's more than an inauguration day. It's the 201st day of the U.S.'s age each year. Every year, January 20th, written 20/1, like 201's the 201st day of the nation's age. And of course, 201's the number of the Jesuits, who are an international order who really run this nation. So again, it was Janet Yellen on January 20th who said in June we could default, and here we are almost to June now. We've been looking at this since back then. We have another Kansas City bar shooting in the news. The last time we saw one of these, actually two of these, was back when the Chiefs won Super Bowl 54. And we'll talk about how this shooting is clearly synced with the latest Super Bowl that the Chiefs won, Super Bowl 57. And also seemingly synced with the upcoming NFL season. If you weren't here back when the Chiefs won Super Bowl 54, you know that there were two Kansas City bar shootings that were both clearly synced with the NFL season. And the funnier one was this one where the DJ at the shooting was DJ Rocky Montana. And remember, in Gematria, Joe Montana equals 54, like Super Bowl 54 was between his two teams. He wore 19 with the Chiefs, 16 with the 49ers, Joe Montana. It was the 2019 season. And, of course, the Chiefs won that one. So, anyhow, Dr. Rashid Buttar. Did he die May 20th or did he die May 18th? To me, it's a little bit more interesting if he died May 20th. That's because May 20th is a very special day to the Jesuit order that run this nation, its propaganda, its government, its people. Truly. I mean, if you look at most people as the robots that they are under the mind control of the TV, again, who's running them? Well, I mean, you could say the TV screen is, but who's running the TV screen? Again, it's the Jesuit order. They run the world. They are the New World Order. They are the Illuminati. That's why the Illuminati was founded May 1st, 1776 by a Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt. But May 20th, if you don't know, 2 years ago on May 20th, the Jesuit order created the first ever Ignatian year in tribute to their founder, Ignatius Loyola. The reason it began on May 20th was because that was the day in history that Ignatius Loyola was shot with a cannonball. And remember, it's also the day in history that Joe Burrow signed with the LSU Tigers, and the LSU great that day, Billy Cannon, died, and we've seen some Nick Cannon rituals over the years synced up with all of this. But May 20th is an important day to the Jesuits. Some sources are saying he died May 20th. A lot of the headlines, a lot of the attention for this happened on May 20th. Other sources are saying he died May 18th. So he's dead at 57, big vaccine number. That's how we predicted the Moderna stock to blow up on May 7th, 2020, as it did. Bill Gates 57, vaccine 57. He's Mr. Vaccines. And he backed Moderna, and they were the first vaccine approved for phase 2 testing, causing their stock price to skyrocket on May 7th. But yeah, Dr. Rashid Buttar is considered the anti-vax doctor, dead at 57. Now, funny enough, some headlines are saying he's dead at 56. Well, coronavirus and COVID vaccine, both 56. But both of these numbers very relevant to the pandemic. He made his name a controversial name during the time of the pandemic. But of course, the date to always start with whenever you're looking at anything in regards to COVID is October 18th, 2019. And sadly, it's amazing how we live in supposedly the information age, and everybody has these things and screens everywhere and talking heads everywhere, and you go survey the average American. If you go out today to a major public place and you survey 100 people, at least 90 of them aren't going to know about Building 7 on 9/11, and at least 90 of them aren't going to know anything about Event 201, and it's probably going to be closer to all 100 people don't know anything about either of those things, even though every American should know about both of those things. But again, Event 201 was the coronavirus pandemic simulation put on the same day the Military World Games began in Wuhan, China. And of course, the Military World Games are credited to the Jesuit order. That's why they began in Rome in 95. Jesuits created the count of the 95 Theses. And again, Event 201, the main sponsor was the World Economic Forum, headed by Klaus Schwab, the Jesuit, who again called it Event 201 when we're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. And the long, long history of 201 and the Jesuits. Again, if you're new here, Gematria, the most simple cipher is the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. The founder of the Jesuits is Ignatius Loyola, 201. Okay? This news about Rashid Buttar's death, big on May 20th, which you could say is Ignatius Loyola Day. And the first Jesuit Pope is Pope Francis, whose birth name again is Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201, first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. There's a lot of important Jesuits with the 201 connection. I'm missing a letter there. Aloysius de Gonzaga, that's who Gonzaga is named after. Let's not forget the huge 201 ritual they just did with Gonzaga in the basketball championship the other year. R.I.P. Elgin Baylor, dead at 86, right before Baylor beat Gonzaga with 86 points, and the championship was 201 days after Baylor's birthday. Who was Jesuit-educated, Elgin Baylor. He went to Seattle U, the other Jesuit school out in Washington State like Gonzaga. But anyway, 201 in the Jesuits, huge number. Again, the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati, and he called it the Order of Illuminati, 201, only to die in history 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. The other cipher to know is just running the alphabetic order in reverse. Z is 1 back to A is 26, and the Jesuit order is 201. So, anyhow, Event 201, the pandemic simulation. By the way, another big name who is part of that pandemic is Bill Gates, whose full name is William Henry Gates. who was married to Melinda French Gates at the time, like how the Jesuits are from France. That's why the first Jesuit pope was Pope Francis. And, yeah, but by the way, I just got to stop. There's always people who leave comments like, that's not true that Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope. If you do the research, this pope actually back then was actually a Jesuit. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if a ton of the popes were Jesuits in the past. The point is, the first publicly Jesuit pope is Pope Francis. Use the historical record that they give you to expose it, not your own research where you think this person was that. Again, learn the knowledge, understand the way they give us history. That way you can expose it and you're not using your speculation and your misinformation. You see how William Henry Gates is 201 and 258? So is Order of Illuminati, forwards and backwards. But again, Isus Hominum Salvator is the Jesuit motto. 274 forwards. Again, those words are inside the sun. The Catholic Church is a sun cult. The Jesuits serve the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church has celebrated the sun's birthday since 274 AD. And you run it in reverse, it's 266. Pope Francis is the 266th pope, the first publicly Jesuit pope. You know, maybe the next publicly Jesuit pope will be the 274th. Anyway, this code, undeniable. Coming back to this, from Event 201 to Rashid Buttar's death, May 18th, 187 weeks if it's May 18th. If it's May 20th, it's 187 weeks and days. But of course, 187 is associated with homicide. It's also another huge number with the Jesuits. Their formal title is Society of Jesus, 187. They are the Holy Roman Empire, 187. D.C. is their stronghold. Washington, D.C., 187. Named after George Washington, 187. Anthony Fauci, the main target of Dr. Buttar. Anthony Fauci's 187. By the way, if you're new here, the four base ciphers are the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology. Just notice Anthony Fauci in Washington, D.C., guy who became the head of NIH in 84. Jesuit alone's 84. United States of America is 84. The Catholic Church is 84. The Jesuit Order's 84. But just notice the perfect overlap with Anthony Fauci in D.C. And if you're new here, the gazillion rituals we documented with him. You see how in the blue cipher, the alphabetic order with numerology, 56 in both? Some sources are saying Buttar died at age 56. Some are saying 57. Again, to me, almost feels like a character that... really, like, I don't mean this as an insult. I mean, I guess it is a bit insulting, but I just mean it as just a true statement. To me, Dr. Buttar is one of these contrived characters. By the way, he comes from the U.S. military, but a contrived character to represent the conspiracy theorist who might say some things that are true and might question the right things, but then puts out bogus information to just... Again, to create that conspiracy theory nonsense idea that's in so many people's heads. But yeah, if you're new here, coronavirus, 56. COVID vaccine, 56. Again, Donald Trump, a Jesuit. The pandemic declared 56 years after his Jesuit education began at Fordham in 64. In the time of the 56th governor of New York, who's a Jesuit, Andrew Cuomo, who also went to Fordham. And again, Gavin Newsom. Run it in reverse. Gavin Newsom's 56. Gavin Newsom, who said 56% of California get coronavirus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. Boris Johnson, 10 Downing Street, the Jesuit Order's logo right above the door at 10 Downing Street in the UK. But Boris Johnson, who said the UK strain, well, check this out. You see how coronavirus is 56 and 70, and so is COVID vaccine? Remember, Boris Johnson first said the UK strain was 70% more infectious, and then they downgraded it to 56% more infectious. And don't forget, coronavirus dies at 56 degrees Celsius. United Kingdom also has that 70. Lots of rituals with all these numbers. But 187, huge number of the Jesuits, huge number of the Catholic Church, and also a number connected to death from Event 201 to his death, 187 days. It's a reminder that Kary Mullis died right before Event 201. Kary Mullis was a legitimate doctor who invented the PCR test, who'd been calling out Anthony Fauci for decades as a fraud of a doctor, a man who would say anything if he was paid enough, a man who conformed science to make his pocket fatter. Kary Mullis just happened to drop dead right before all this got underway. So... Anyhow, if he died May 20th, if it's May 20th and not May 18th, because there's conflicting reports online, his birthday's January 20th, again, Buttar. 20/1, the 201st day of the nation's age. And big number with the history of the U.S. military as well. Buttar comes from the military. But if it was May 20th, again, that's the day in history Ignatius Loyola was shot with a cannonball. By the way, another 201 is Buttar posted that he had been poisoned online on May 17th. That was 201 days after Bill Gates' birthday. If it was May 20th, he died exactly 21 weeks after Anthony Fauci's birthday. Again, just Jesuit alone is 21. He would have died on the Pope's 155th day of his age. Here, let's just pull this back up. Remember, coronavirus in the most simple cipher is 155. The sister simulation to Event 201 Clade X was May 15th, 15/5, Mercurialia, the day to celebrate Mercury. See how coronavirus 155 goes with 15/5? Notice the 70 as well, because Mercurialia, 70. Again, Trump declared Operation Warp Speed May 15, 2020. And notice coronavirus 155, 56, 142. Look at Gavin Newsom, the first governor to lock down his state, a Jesuit, 155, 56, 142. Anyhow, if he died May 20th, it would have been the Pope's 155th day of his age. He would have died 4 months after his birthday on the nose, for the number of death. He died regardless in the 44th month since Event 201. Buttar, Pfizer, Warp Speed, military, medicine, death, kill, execution, hospital. Those are all 44 words. Again, Warp Speed was a military plan. All the original jab shipments came out of Michigan. Michigan, another 44 state. Remember, they had the mass shooting at Michigan State on the 44th day of the year. Again, there's a thing with shootings and shots, and Sandy Hook anniversary was the day of the first vaccination, where Sandra Lindsay was the first vaccinated American, and then the next year it was Steph Curry setting the 3-point shot record, passing the Yukon product Ray Allen when Sandy Hook was in Connecticut. Excuse me. Allergy season, so get used to that. But if May 20th was the day that he passed as well, it was also a date with 68 numerology, like how coronavirus was coined in 68. Same year fentanyl was approved. Same year a lot of agendas went into motion. So it's unclear right now which day he died. Some headlines May 18th, some May 20th. But either way, you have that 187 thing. And I guess there's one other thing to say about the month of May. There's only 2 months that have a Gematria 42. May is 42 and February is 42. The other 10 months don't have a 42 connection. And remember, vaccines 42. Remember, Bill Gates has the same birthday as Jonas Salk. Bill Gates turned 1 the day Jonas Salk turned 42, which was the day Elvis Presley, who went on to die at age 42, got the polio vaccine on live TV exactly 42 weeks after his birthday. We know what just happened to his daughter in the big Jesuit ritual right after the Golden Globes. Again, she died at 54. Huge number at the Jesuits. Jesuit Order 54, just like Golden Globes is 54, like Sun is 54, like Elvis recorded for Sun Records, like how the Jesuits in the Catholic Church are a sun cult, like how all of these rituals are synced up with time, which is dictated by the sun on the calendar that we go by, which comes from the Catholic Church. So anyway, Rashid Buttar... Yeah, I don't think that I don't think he was a great opposition to the tyranny taking place. I think, he's the reason that so many people just, when they hear conspiracy theory, they tune out. He did what Richie from Boston did, saying that, it was 5G and all this, and again, that just never made any sense on any level, but so many people were regurgitating that everywhere. Anytime I'd make a video back in 2020 laying out real information, real facts that people could look into to find out who's behind the tyranny, my comment section would be full of people that are saying, why aren't you talking about how 5G is going to kill us? Why aren't you talking about how 5G is the symptoms of COVID? Okay, because I've had a 5G router in my house for like a few years now and haven't had any health problems. I guess just from a real life experience, not regurgitating what liars online are saying, But yeah, I mean, here Wikipedia, which is not a reputable source of anything, but here's the way they do sign up right about Dr. Buttar, and I do remember from watching his videos that this isn't exactly false. Again, he didn't impress me when I came across his information. But during the 2019-2020 coronavirus pandemic, a series of videos featuring Buttar were posted to YouTube by the fake news website, Next News Network. Why doesn't Wikipedia write things like that about the other news networks? Man, they're always broadcasting fake news. In these videos, Buttar advanced a conspiracy theory claiming that National Institute of Health Director Anthony Fauci's research helped to create COVID-19. He made many other false claims, such as that 5G cell phone networks and chemtrails caused COVID-19. YouTube removed the video a week after it was posted, replacing it with a message saying, "This video has been removed for violating YouTube's community guidelines." And, the reality is none of those videos should have been removed. I mean, people need to have discernment. And part of the way of developing discernment is being able to look at information and realize, oh, that's incorrect because of this, this, and this. Buttar promotes anti-vaccination videos sold by Ty and Charlene Bollinger and receives a commission whenever his referrals result in a sale, a practice known as affiliate marketing. Again, it's annoying that we can't speak against the authorities without being silenced within a hurry because the AI is always listening. But, yeah, I mean, what did the authorities do? Scared the bejesus out of everybody. Said go out and get that experimental jab as quick as you can by Pfizer. Pfizer, GlaxoSmithKline, the merger of the two most sued companies in the history of the world for wrongful death and injury. Oh, where can I sign up? Where can I sign up for the experimental jab from the most sued companies in the history of the world for wrongful death and injury? But that wasn't covered on the nightly news. Instead, it was Anderson Cooper, with his gaping butthole, telling me that I'm not a real man unless I go out and get jabbed. And then it goes to commercial break. This segment sponsored by Pfizer. Like, wow, look at this. A guy with a gaping butthole and a segment sponsored by Pfizer, and this guy's telling me I'm not a real man because I'm not complying with the agenda. And here I am to tell you all about it. Been healthy. Healthy as ever the whole time. No slave muzzles, no jabs, no profits from Big Pharma from me, And again, you guys, I mean, this whole thing's just sickening, right? So it goes from Event 201. And this guy who's likely the propped up, controlled opposition dummy doctor to make the rest of us look stupid, born on 20/1, the 201st day of the nation's age, to this, now the battle with the Republicans and the Democrats, which Janet Yellen again foreshadowed on January 20th, 2001, when she said there's a looming catastrophe that could hit as soon as June if we don't reach an agreement on this debt ceiling. I mean, the responsible thing to do is agree to the raise in the debt ceiling, and then if you really want to shrink the budget, which neither of these parties do, they always talk about it, but then when they're in power, they both grow them. The Republicans always grow the budget. The Democrats always grow the budget. You'll hear the Republicans always talk the good. I mean, the Democrats don't ever, Bill Clinton in the 90s, I guess, talked about it, but not since then. That hasn't been a thing for the Democratic Party, talking about balancing the budget, but the Republicans always talk about it, but then they never do it. They get in there and they spend even more. So, I mean, both parties are responsible, but it's like, okay, let's raise the debt ceiling so we don't destroy a bunch of Americans' lives and cause all kinds of problems. But then let's get serious. And as the Republican Party, we're not going to sign off on any legislation that raises the budget. We won't allow any more budget to be raised. We'll only do things to cut the budget. And we know that's not going to happen. I mean, this party's all talk. Both of these parties are all talk. But yeah, again, all I can think of is New World Order. All the politicians saying it over all the years. I mean, seriously, how can the American representatives even be like playing this game right now? And playing this game just creates so much stress and uncertainty for people. I mean, this is playing with the lives of Americans, which is what the government and news media does every day. It's just, here's another example to potentially catch on for the person still asleep. But yeah, it's sick. You guys, it's absolutely sickening that we are made to pay a fee to this ruling force that doesn't care about us, that lies to us every day, that manipulates us every day, that dupes our young people into signing up for the military, where then they might be the next Camp Lejeune victims. They might, just from being there with all the poison experimentation going on, they might just end up, dead from just being on a base, or getting shipped off to Iraq, where they're also experimenting with the water over there. The bathing and drinking water is happening to troops. What were they calling it? I forget. They always go back and look what was going on earlier in the 2000s after we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan. Stuff just like what's going on at Camp Lejeune. Certain bases had contaminated water. I just remember being a young person, watching the news. I'd be like, how could our government not know that we gave them contaminated water? What? But again, it all makes sense. I mean, it's human experimentation. It's, are you going to be duped by this system and allow it to use and abuse you? For all the people that come and try to attack someone like me, all I'm trying to do is help you see the reality of the nation you live in. How dishonest it is, how deceptive it is, how manipulative it is. And sadly, people they like being manipulated, They like being manipulated, apparently, by the authority that they've been raised to believe in. And again, just in that sentence, that's how you can see it all goes back to the church. Again, that's what used to rule over Europe. This country came from Europe. Supposedly the people who fled over here were trying to flee the church. Church taught everyone to believe or else. Now the politicians, they all put their hand on the Bible to show that they're believers, so they must be good people. Again, Joe Biden sacrificed old Bo at age 46 before he became number 46. 201 days before the Pope's birthday, only to be elected number 46, exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. And, McCarthy, they got to bring in we got to have a House Speaker McCarthy. While there's this Russian scare reminding of McCarthyism. Just all this stuff, you guys. It's a major league mockery. Let's not forget Russia, Ukraine, started with the huge 201 ritual. They got to send Zelensky to Hiroshima at age 45, like Hiroshima got bombed in 45 on 8/6 when his name Volodymyr Zelensky equals 86. I mean, all of this stuff, you guys, every day, it's a major FU, and yeah, it's all by the code, too. It's all by the code. Republicans, some of them don't want to send any more money to Ukraine. Hey, I can get behind that kind of rhetoric, but I can't get behind the party that I know is totally fraudulent. What would be funny is if in the future, then the Republicans are sending even more money to Ukraine than the Democrats did. You know what that would remind me of? Remember in 2008 when the Democrats ran on ending the wars? They won the House, the Senate, the presidency. They won them all. They won them all, so they could have ended the war as soon as they all took office there in January 2009. But what did they do? Instead, they escalated the war. They increased spending. They sent even more troops. They started using drones even more. It's just, So yeah, again, we've been talking about this since January 20th when Janet Yellen came out and said it. I speculated then on January 20th, I said if they default, now they're making it seem like it could be as soon as June 1st. Back then it was unclear. It could be sometime in June. It could be later than that. But now the media is making it sound like it could be June 1st. And yeah, it remains to be, do they come to an agreement and just, all this drama and anxiety and stress that they're causing for people? Well, at the 11th hour, will they come together and stop the debt default from happening? Or do they go through with it and, again, help create the financial chaos? Because that's what it is, right? Again, that's the motto. Order out of chaos. Oh, by the way, order out of chaos. Here, let me show you something. Let me show you something about order out of chaos. Remember when Biden and Putin met before Russia-Ukraine kicked off? It was a big 183 order out of chaos ritual. Biden's birthday is November 20th, if you don't know that, just like RFK. And again, RFK, the initials equal 46. Biden's number 46. But today, notice today is Joe Biden's 183rd day of his age. You see that? 183. And just that most simple cipher. Order out of chaos, 183. So Biden addresses this today on the 183rd day of his age, on the most Jesuit day of the year, a Sunday. And, makes it sound like it could really happen. And if it does happen, this will be another example of order out of chaos. Here, let me put up the reverse cipher too, because I just want to remind you about when he met with Vladimir Putin on Pearl Harbor Day. Vladimir Putin's also 183, and Pearl Harbor's also 183. They met 201 days after the Jesuit Ignatian year began to discuss Russia-Ukraine before it kicked off by the numbers. And it started on the day in history that the Gregorian calendar was rolled out by the Catholic Church, February 24th. But, Biden today, and I guess just for the person who doesn't know Joe Biden's birthday, Joe Biden, born November 20th, like I just said, and from that day to today, the day he dresses, this is the 183rd day of his age. But, order out of chaos. If they want to fulfill their New World Order Jesuit masters who own them, don't forget Biden's wife and daughter died in a huge 201 ritual back in 72 when he became senator-elect, and then he was 72 years old when his son died. Again, 201 days before the Pope's birthday. But, again, a controlled demolition of the U.S. economy to help bring about the digital dollar. Again, April. Remember what they did in April? They started, what's the word I'm looking for? The Fed started, is it certifying? That might be the right word. They started the process of creating the new digital Fed dollar in the first week of April, FedNow. It'll become available in July, which is right after this whole catastrophe, right? That's supposed to go down in June. And again, they said it's going to be voluntary at first. But how long until it's not voluntary, and how long until it's not voluntary? You need to be on the digital dollar, and all your paper dollars that you're storing in your mattress and at home, they all need to be turned in, or they will be void of value by this date. All paper dollars must be turned into the bank or credit union or whatever other source they'll allow. Again, we know we're going to see a day like that come. Big tech. Big government. By the way, people have been telling me to watch that Kingsman movie forever. You guys were right about that. I finally just saw that movie last night. Sweet Lady and I watched it last night. If you guys haven't seen the Kingsman movie with Samuel L. Jackson from 2015, it's about a big tech guy who wants to save the world by depopulating it. Hello, Bill Gates. And then, it's all about secret societies and intelligence agencies and... But again, big tech, surveillance state, cameras everywhere. The only thing left, pretty much the whole world's in cameras now, but the only thing left that they don't have total surveillance over is how you spend your paper dollars, and that's about to end. One world under total surveillance. So... again, they need excuses for why they had to do it. Create the problem, bring about their solution that gives them more power and control and influence over the American people. It's the same thing over and over again. And if this does happen, if they don't come to the 11th hour agreement, it's just, I was going to say it'd be a shame if anybody voted in the upcoming election, but it's already a shame that anyone's voting in any election still. These elections are such a joke. Such a joke. Joe Biden with a record 81 million votes. Oh, I'm sure. I still haven't seen a Joe Biden yard sign or bumper sticker, and I live up here in one of the most liberal areas in the nation in Washington State. President Biden with his 81 million votes. You see how his name's 72 and 81? Just like President Trump is 72 and 81, both Jesuits. Again, Biden became senator-elect in 72, back when his wife and daughter died in the car crash. But, yeah, just, watching this stuff unfold is maddening. It's maddening. 183rd day of Joe's age. Order out of chaos. Are they going to pull the trigger on the economic demolition? And then the other thing to realize is even if they don't, even if this is just like another signal of things that are near, on the brink, again, these are all warnings for what is coming. Again, there is a controlled demolition of the United States of America as we knew it. Not that it was ever that great. I've never thought America was that great of a country growing up here. I mean, to me, it always seemed like a load of BS. I was questioning at a young age, why do I have to be in this classroom if I'm free? How come my parents can get in trouble if I'm not here? Why do I have to pledge to this flag? Supposedly free, but I'm constantly being dictated what I have to do, what I have to know, what I have to learn. Again, we swallow a lot of rhetoric that just doesn't add up with reality, but it just gets worse with time. It gets worse with time. The country's definitely become a lot worse in the time I've been living, I'll tell you that much. And I think that's probably true for everybody. For a long time, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And that's because there's a cabal that controls the nation that slowly but surely is making it worse for the average human being, but making it better for them in terms of the control and influence they have over the people. Okay. Now, again, here's our latest shooting by the numbers. 3 dead, 2 wounded in Kansas City. Well, I can't tell you how much I talk about 32 with Kansas City in sports. Kansas City and Gematria. 32, right? Chiefs. The football team there, 32. And if you run it forwards, Kansas City Chiefs is 64. Big number with that team, but another number they like is 98. And this shooting was early Sunday. The Super Bowl was on the 43rd day of the year, February 12th. This shooting is on the 141st day of the year, 98 days later, okay? 98 days later after the Super Bowl in Kansas City. And the name of the police chief in charge, Donna Drake. Donna Drake. Notice the 57. Recall. It was Super Bowl 57 that the Chiefs won. The one on Abe Lincoln's birthday. The first one with 2 black quarterbacks. And the upcoming Super Bowl will be in exactly 38 weeks, number of death. Again, like I've been saying, in the AFC, I only see 2 teams that can potentially make it in the AFC right now for this year's Super Bowl. Baltimore, Kansas City. Go back a few years, the year before, well, it was at the very start of the season that ended with Mahomes winning the Joe Montana Super Bowl. But ESPN put out an article at the start of that season before the opening game. The era of the black quarterback is officially underway, and it was a picture of Mahomes and Lamar Jackson shaking hands. We've talked about a lot of deaths connected to Baltimore in this offseason, and Jim Brown's probably another one of them because Jim Brown played for the Browns, who became the Baltimore Ravens. This shooting was on a date with 49 numerology. Super Bowl and NFL both have that gematria 49, as does America, as does Scottish, like how American football is credited to the Scottish Rite Freemason Walter Camp. And yeah, just to go back in time, here's a post from 2019. We documented 2 bar shootings that year in Kansas City. There was one. Okay, 5 wounded, 4 dead at the KC Tequila Bar, October 6, 2019. Okay, this is in the year leading up to Super Bowl 54. 5 wounded, 4 dead was how they reported it. On 10-6, notice how Tennessee's 106. When the Chiefs won the Super Bowl that year, they beat Tennessee in the AFC Championship. And that shooting came a span of 120 days before Super Bowl 54. 120 is the 15th triangular number. Of course, Mahomes is number 15. This year he did the Riders Up at the Kentucky Derby, and then the horse with 15-1 odds won the race, Mage. Yesterday, Bob Baffert won the race, getting his 8th win at the Preakness after Mage, with the number 8 on it, won the first race where 8 horses died. We talked about that in yesterday's stream before the race was won, how Baffert could get that big 8 after the death of his horse earlier in the day that had the Gematria breaking down to 8. And yeah, again, there's a lot of things that are interesting here. Oh, here's the other bar shooting in Kansas City that year. At least 15 people arrived at nearby hospitals with injuries. Again, Mahomes is number 15, the star of the team. The date of the shooting had 15 numerology. And there's actually a number of things that are interesting here, but just to not overdo it with the numbers. Again, they had to tell you that the DJ at this shooting in Kansas City was Rocky Montana. And again, that was the year of Super Bowl 54, where Montana played for the 49ers and Chiefs, the 2 teams that faced each other in the Super Bowl. And again, Montana wore number 19 with the Chiefs. That was the end of the 2019 season. You can see that shooting was on the 19th as well. Shooting on the 19th with DJ Rocky Montana. The Rocky part reminds me of The Rock, because The Rock was also connected to that Super Bowl riddle. He had the TV show Ballers on HBO, and in the last episode of that season before the Super Bowl, you see how Chiefs is 112 and so is Super Bowl? Chiefs and Super Bowl both 112. The last episode of Ballers, where The Rock buys the Kansas City Chiefs in the show, that episode was exactly 112 days before the Super Bowl that Kansas City won. And they won it in Miami. And The Rock played college football at Miami. He was a Miami Hurricane. Nine Ultra Lounge. Niners, Chiefs. News and sports. Synced up rituals. Rigged and scripted. Yeah, anyhow, those were the big points today. Thank you to the super chatter who donated $1. It was John Mendoza. Appreciate it, John. John's always coming through with that $1. Appreciate it. Okay, putting my eyes on the chat here real quick. I don't understand how you can be in my chat right now asking me who they are specifically. Like, Donnie Darko, is that a troll comment, or is it like you come here with your ears all plugged with wax? I mean, I'm literally talking about the same thing in every video consistently. I mean, can somebody answer Donnie Darko's question for me? Who is they? Are you kidding me? I mean, seriously. Do I not have books about they? I have 2 books about who they are. I literally have a chapter who they are. Answered, when that book came out, 2017, 6 years ago. I mean, it's impossible to come to my channel and ask who they are. I won't answer the question because it's too pathetic to even have to ask after the presentation. So, Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Who are they? Did I not just do a whole video presentation on it? So if your follow-up response is, why can't you answer the question? It's a pretty good question. Like, if that's serious and not a troll, that makes you a moron. That makes you also a deaf moron. That's the real problem, you guys, that we live in a society of morons. That's why we're ruled over by assholes who are so transparent that everyone should see through. But again, it's not that I'm not answering the question. It's that the question's already been answered probably about at least 50 times alone in this video. So... Well, I see he says no offense. It's offensive to even ask that question. It's like, how can you know my name and not know the answer to that question? I didn't say my name at all in this video. You know? Shows me that you're a troll. So, anyway. Here, let's see if there's any breaking headlines before we wrap this one up. Where unwanted gas guzzlers get a new life. Protect your investments in the debt ceiling standoff. Here, let's see what their advice is actually for this. I want to see how they say you can protect yourself. No one can say yet which day the U.S. Treasury would no longer be able to pay all the bills of the United States in full and on time if lawmakers refuse to raise the debt limit. That day, the so-called X date, is currently estimated to fall sometime between early June and early August. Okay, that's like back to what Janet Yellen was saying on January 20th. Watching the news this past week, they were all making it seem like it was June 1st. But if they are going to do this, again, dates in that time frame that could work. June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. July 20th, the 201st day of the year. Bond market experts still expect lawmakers to strike a deal before the X date hits, if only at the 11th hour and 59th minute. No one in Washington has any incentive to see the U.S. default, but no one is also really incentivized to compromise before the actual deadline. Nevertheless, we remain confident that a deal will happen in time to avoid any sort of breach, said Libby Cantrill, managing director and head of the public policy at PIMCO. Okay, where is the point? I just hate how media always has titles, and like sometimes you can read the whole article and you're like, okay, what was in the title was never even addressed in the article. All right, so what, if anything, should bond investors do now? All right, so they're making the point. Right now, yields on 1-month T-bills are well above the yield for 10-year and 30-year Treasury bonds. For bills maturing on or before May 30th, yields have fallen and their prices have risen because investors are willing to pay up to have a near guarantee of prompt repayment, Martin noted. So is that what they're advising that you can do? Just buy Treasury bills in case the market goes way down? Those who have invested in Treasury bills maturing on or right after June 1st and who definitely need their money at that time, for example, to pay their own bills, might consider selling those bills now and reinvesting in bills. So that's what their advice is, to just buy Treasury bills because they're super safe and they will pay you a guaranteed interest rate. However, I mean, the thing about Treasury bills is typically the interest rate they pay is not matching with inflation. So it's like you're getting back some of the money lost from the devaluing of the dollar, but not all of it. And again, remember who told you all this stuff was going to happen, back in March of 2020. We called all this in March of 2020. We said all the printing of the money would surely cause a lot of inflation, which would be about undermining the dollar, creating a financial crisis, bringing us into the next segment of the agenda, the digital dollar. I mean, we've been on point about this since March of 2020. And I mean, it was easier to see that they're bringing us to a digital dollar way before that. I mean, The Economist told us in 1988. But, all of this stuff is so transparent. And just, right now they're saying that we're in this moment because of Russia, Ukraine, because of COVID-19. BS, Both of those things, huge Jesuit rituals. Maybe that's the problem with the Donnie Darko. Like, I keep saying the word Jesuit and it doesn't even register in the guy's brain because he doesn't know who the Jesuits are, like most of America doesn't, because they don't know anything about anything. But, yeah, I don't know how you could ask me 40 minutes into the latest video where I talk about the same order controlling the world in every single video and be like, hey, who are you talking about? Who's they? It's like, my God, man. That is the problem, though. Just way too many morons. So, but yeah, again, all they do is create the problem and then provide the solution, which brings about their agenda. And the silly, sheepish people, keep eating it up. You know, Toyota's new commercial? It stands out to me every time it comes on the screen with just all the sheep everywhere. Oh, man. Maybe the most fitting commercial I ever saw. But apparently, it's supposed to be a tribute to the black sheep because they got a black Prius, but I just see the commercial with the sheep everywhere and I say, yeah, that's exactly what America is. All these people out with their muzzles, watching TV, watching news, believing the lies, going along with the agendas, doing exactly what the authorities tell them, ignoring everybody who tells them on the contrary. You know, dismissing people like myself, calling me conspiracy theorist when I continue to be proven right day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. But yeah, it's just like, there's a part of me that just, wishes I could just watch from afar as the nation did go down. It would totally be deserved for the average American person to suffer from whatever these tyrants have planned because these same people have just marched along to the drum of tyranny. They haven't questioned anything. They've hated everyone who went against the authority. I know that because I've been hated on for all of my adult life for going against the lies of 9/11, going against every single lie they give us, every fraudulent politician. It just, again, society of lemons. Again, look up the word lemming if you don't know what that word is. Important word. It's a word that describes who the American people are. So, yeah, the Donnie Darko movie was more predictive programming for 9/11, no doubt about it. I know it's sad. I was just down in Portland last week, and I'd say at least 50% of people are wearing a mask. At least 50% of people in Portland, Oregon. It's the same thing in Seattle right now too. So, yeah, exactly. The flock, the sheep. Yeah, it is. It's like a sin in our society to question the authority. And that's why most people just deserve to go down. I mean, you reap what you sow. The frustrating thing is, for those of us who've seen through it all and been speaking out, we're going down with the rest of the sinking ship. But, yeah, it's just, it's sickening. So, we'll be back down in I was just in California, but we'll be back down there August 24th. No doubt about it. Again, you guys, language, it's an important thing. I want to read a comment in the chat right now. You guys, learn how to write, learn how to use punctuation, learn how to communicate to be understood. There's so many comments that are left like this every day, and I'm just like, what is this person even trying to say? Gotta find people like you can't find some you don't know. You guys, that's why America is where it is right now. You know? That's why when you go to a big tech city where all the best jobs are, Americans aren't working there. You know? Gotta find people like you can't find some you don't know. Okay. All right, you guys, we'll leave it there for now. Hold on. Let me just let's check the other propaganda source and see what they. Oh, shark attack! Oh my God, not a shark attack. Oh, it's actually killer whales. Okay, CNN did have a shark attack story this morning. Fox News has killer whales. Brittany Griner. Remember the whole Brittany Griner ritual? They even gave you the numerology, the Phoenix Mercury, when she returned. How it was the perfect day for number 42 to return on the 42 date numerology. You guys remember that? But yeah, again, TV, propaganda, sports, rituals rigged together day after day. Yeah, it probably is Brian Griner. That's interesting, Gabriel. Yeah, we saw what they did with James Harden in the Michigan State shooting. What a joke. Same numbers. So, all right, guys, we'll leave it there for now. I might stream again in a little bit and address all the. I was gonna say address all the morons. People, I thought you addressed the morons in this stream, but I might have to do another stream where I address the morons even more. Last night the trolls were out so hard, writing false things and liking comments 1,000 times. It's just like, God, it's annoying. It's annoying when these trolls just come out of the woodwork and come with these false accusations, try and defend their rig sports. So, yeah, I might be back later today. We'll leave it there for now, though, True Seeker. Till next time.